Venuta la sera. Così inizia il Vangelo che abbiamo ascoltato.
When evening had come,
Da
the gospel
settimane
passage we have
sembra
just heard
che sia
begins like
stessa la
this.
sera.
For weeks now it has been
Dite
evening.
tenebre si sono
Thick
addensate
darkness
sulle nostre
has
piazze,
gathered over our
strade e
squares,
città.
our streets, and our
Si sono
cities.
impadronite delle nostre vie, riempiendo tutto di un
It has
silenzio
taken over our
assordante
lives,
e di
filling
un
everything
vuoto
with a
desolante
deafening silence and a
che
distressing
paralizza
void
ogni cosa al
that
suo passare.
stops everything as it passes
Si
by.
sente nell'aria,
We feel it in
si
the
avvertono i
air.
gesti,
We notice
lo
in
dicono
people's
visuali.
gestures. Their glances give them away.
Ci siamo trovati impauriti e smarriti.
We find ourselves afraid and
Come i
lost.
discepoli del Vangelo siamo stati presi alla
Like the
sprovvista
disciples in the
da una
Gospel, we were
tempesta
caught off
inaspettata
guard
e
by an
furiosa.
unexpected,
Ci siamo
turbulent
resi
storm.
conto di
We have
trovarci sulla
realized
stessa barca,
that we are on the
tutti
same boat,
fragili e disorientati,
all of us fragile and
ma nello
disoriented,
stesso tempo importanti
but
e
at the same
necessari.
time important and needed.
Tutti chiamati a remare
All of us
insieme,
called to row
tutti
together,
bisognosi di confortarci
each
a
of us
vicenda.
in need of comforting the other.
Su questa barca ci siamo tutti, tutti. Come
All of
quei
us are on this
discepoli
boat,
che parlano a una sola
just like
voce
those
e nella
disciples who
angoscia
spoke
dicono,
anxiously with
"Siamo
one voice,
perduti".
saying, "We are perishing."
Così anche noi ci siamo accorti
So
che
we
non
too have
possiamo andare
realized
avanti
that we cannot go on
per
thinking
conto
of
suo,
ourselves,
ma solo insieme.
but only together can we do this.
È facile ritrovarci in questo racconto. Quello che risulta difficile è capire l'atteggiamento di Gesù. Mentre i discepoli sono
It's
naturalmente
easy to
allarmati
recognize ourselves in this story. What is harder to understand is Jesus'
proprio
attitude.
nella parte della barca
While his disciples
che
are
per prima
quite
va a
naturally
fondo.
alarmed and desperate,
E che
he
cosa
stands
fa?
in the stern, in the
Nonostante
part of the
il
boat that
trambusto,
sinks
dorme
first.
sereno,
And what
fiducioso
does he
nel
do?
Padre.
In spite of the tempest,
È
he
l'unica
sleeps
volta
on
in cui
soundly,
nel
trusting in the
Vangelo vediamo
Father.
Gesù che dorme.
This is the only time in the Gospels we see
Quando
Jesus
poi viene
sleeping.
svegliato,
When he wakes
dopo aver
up,
calmato il
after
vento e le
calming the
acque,
wind and the
si
waters,
rivolge ai
he
discepoli
turns
in
to the
tono di
disciples
rimprovero.
in a reproaching
Perché avete
voice.
paura?
Why are you afraid?
Non avete ancora fede?
Have you no faith? As contrasted
Essi
with
non avevano
Jesus'
smesso di
trust.
credere in Lui.
They had not stopped believing in him. In fact,
Ma
they
vediamo
called on
come li
him.
invocano.
But we
Maestro,
see how
non ti
they call on
importa
him.
che siamo
Teacher,
perduti?
do you not care if we perish?
Non ti importa.
Do you not care?
Pensano che Gesù si disinteressi di loro.
They think that Jesus is not
Che non si
interested
curi
in
di
them,
loro.
does not care about them.
Tra di noi, nelle nostre famiglie, una delle cose che fa più male è quando
One of the
ci
things that
sentiamo
hurts
dire,
us and our
"Non ti
families
importa
most
di me?"
is when we hear it
Una
said,
frase che ferisce,
"Do you not care about me?"
scatena tempeste nel cuore.
It's a phrase that wounds and unleashes storms in our hearts.
Perché a
It would have
nessuno
shaken
più che a lui
Jesus too,
importa di me.
because he, more than anyone,
Infatti,
cares about
una
us.
volta invocato,
Indeed,
salva
once
i
they have
discepoli
called on him, he
di
saves his
dispersione.
disciples from their discouragement.
La tempesta smaschera la nostra vulnerabilità
The
e lascia
storm
scoperte
exposes our vulnerability and uncovers those false and superfluous certainties around which we have constructed our daily schedules, our projects, our habits, and priorities.
come abbiamo lasciato addormentato e abbandonato ciò che
It shows us
sostiene
how we
e dà
have
forza alla nostra vita
allowed
e
ourselves to
alla nostra
become
comunità.
forgetfulness of what
Tutti quei
nourishes our
tentativi di
people's
anestetizzare
souls.
con abitudini
All those
apparentemente
attempts that
salvatrici,
anesthetize
incapaci
us
di fare appello alle
with
nostre
ways of
radici
thinking and
e
acting
di
that
evocare
supposedly
la memoria dei
save
nostri
us,
anziani,
but instead
privandoci
prove
così
incapable of putting us in
dell'unico
touch with our
immunità
roots
necessaria
and keeping alive the
per far
memory of
fronte
those who
alla
have gone
adversità.
before us. We deprive
La
ourselves of the
tempesta è
antibodies
caduto
we
il
need to
trucco di
confront
quegli
adversity.
stereotipi
In this storm, the facade of those stereotypes with which we camouflage our egos, always worrying about our image, has fallen away, uncovering once more that blessed common belonging of which we cannot be deprived, our belonging as brothers and sisters.
Perché avete paura? Non avete ancora fede?
Why are you afraid? Have you yet no faith?
La tua parola stasera ci colpisce e ci
Lord,
riguarda tutti.
your word this evening strikes us and regards all of us in this world that you love more than we do. We have gone ahead at breakneck speed, feeling powerful and able to do anything, greedy for profit. We let ourselves get caught up in things and lured away by haste. We have not stopped before your reproach to us. We were not shaken awake by wars or injustice across the world, nor did we listen to the cry of the poor or of our gravely ailing planet. We carried on regardless, thinking we would stay healthy in a world that was sick. Now that we are in a stormy sea, we implore you, wake up, Lord. Faith, which is not so much believing that you exist, but coming to you and trusting in you. This Lent, your call reverberates urgently. Be converted. Return to me with all your heart. You are calling us to seize this time of trial as a time of choosing, a moment of decision. It is not the time of your judgment, but of our judgment. A time to choose what matters and what passes away. A time to separate what is necessary from what is not. It is a time to get our lives back on track with regard to you, Lord, and to others. We can look to so many exemplary companions for the journey who, even though fearful, have reacted by giving their lives. This is the force of the Spirit poured out and fashioned in courageous and generous self-denial. It is the life in the Spirit that can redeem, value, and demonstrate how our lives are woven together and sustained by ordinary people, often forgotten people, who do not appear on the front page of newspapers and magazines, nor on the grand catwalks of the latest show, but who without any doubt are in these very days writing the decisive events of our time. Doctors, nurses, supermarket employees, cleaners, caregivers, providers of transport, law and order enforcement personnel, volunteers, priests, religious men and women, and so very many others who have understood that no one reaches salvation by themselves. In the face of so much suffering, where the authentic development of our peoples is assessed, we experience the priestly prayer of Jesus, that they may all be one. How many people every day are exercising patience and offering hope, taking care to sow not panic, but shared responsibility. How many fathers, mothers, grandparents, and teachers are showing our children in small everyday gestures how to face up to and navigate a crisis by adjusting their routines, lifting their gaze, and fostering prayer. How many are praying, offering, and interceding for the good of all.
e il servizio
prayer,
silenzioso
and quiet service.
sono le nostre armi vincenti.
These are our victorious weapons
Ossa di Pietro.
of Peter's rock-solid faith. I would like this evening to entrust all of you to the Lord through the intercession of Mary, health of the people, and star of the stormy sea, from this colonnade that embraces Rome and the world. May God's blessing come down upon you as a consoling embrace.
Signore, benedici il
Lord,
mondo. Dona
bless the
salute ai
world.
corpi,
Give health to our bodies and comfort our hearts.
di non avere paura.
You ask us not to be afraid,
La nostra fede è debole, Signore,
yet our faith
siamo
is weak,
timorosi.
Lord, and we are fearful.
Però tu, Signore,
But you, Lord,
non lasciarsi in balia della tempesta.
do not leave us at the mercy of the storm.
Ripeti ancora.
Tell
Voi
us
non
again,
avete paura.
do not be
E
afraid.
noi insieme a Pietro
And we, together with Peter,
ogni preoccupazione
cast all our anxieties
perché
onto you,
sappiamo che tu hai cura di noi.
because we know that you care for us.